double checking we're on the right page, but hi everyone who's watching. Oh boy. Yep, we're on Rubber City Reviews. Hi, just making sure it was the right page. Made that mistake last time.
Awesome.
But hello everybody that's watching. Welcome to the show within a show within a show, I guess. My name's Rachel. Hi, Rachel. Yes. If you guys want to be like, hi, I'm this person, go ahead. I don't care who goes first. Evan, I guess, because you're on camera. Sorry.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Evan Pohl. I run. I'm assuming that we are doing introductions and what we run.
Yeah, go ahead. I can go last because I don't really run anything except this.
Okay. My name is Evan. I run the preview review page on Facebook. Just recently posted a couple of reviews as well as last week's Sundance Film Festival reviews. But I'm looking forward to taking a step back and reacting to the latest episode of WandaVision.
Give me 1 second. I will be right back. I have to run and get something. It's important, I swear. Nick, go ahead.
Okay. No problem. I'll fill some time. My name is Nick. I'm sorry you can't see me this week. I had some camera issues. But I run the Facebook page Does It Suck, where we review snacks, sometimes movies, but kind of leaving the movies up to my buddies who do that a little bit better than me right now. And then just kind of review some things and tell you guys if it sucks or not. So that's kind of what I do.
Great. Hi, my name's Rachel. I'm the UA intern that works for 338 to Go's thing. I was like, hey, I like movies, so now I do the Rubber City Reviews page for the most part. I just had to run and get my I ate ice cream for breakfast sticker because it's National Ice Cream for Breakfast Day. Go celebrate, eat some ice cream. It'll be fun. But yeah, and I'm the host of this, which is just WandaVision discussion live, I guess, or WandaVision vision, as we kind of call it. But I'm a little bit nervous because this episode was a lot. For a lot of it was just objectively just extremely a lot. So let's just get into it, I guess. It was a time. I know Evan just watched it this morning. I watch it every Friday morning, but and Nick said he watched it last night. But yeah, just to start off, what are your just general thoughts on the episode? Whoever wants to go first.
I'll let Nick go first this time.
Okay, yeah. So the episode to me was really fantastic. It had elements that I really, really love. Every week, I just fall more in love with the show. I wish I could stay up until 3 a.m. to when it drops to watch it because I want to watch it so bad. I wish they just released it at 8 p.m. Eastern, like on Friday nights. I just feel like that would be a lot better. But
I get that sick feel. Prime time.
Oh, yeah, I think that'd be awesome. But there's a few moments that I really loved. I really liked whenever Vision and Wanda were arguing, and the credits kind of broke. I just love that because it just shows the show is breaking. And there's elements that tell me that Wanda is in power and that she's not in control. She is in control. I just love that we still don't know. And there's still aspects that we have to figure out. I mean, the end of the show, I'm sure we'll get into the very last second. That was pretty exciting. I'm sure we'll get into the implications of that. And also, the commercial in this episode really was, I think, the darkest episode or darkest commercial yet with the Lagos paper towels. I mean, Lagos is where she blew up that building in Civil War and killed all those individuals. And that's really what started the Sokovia Accords. So whenever they said cleaning up a mess that you didn't mean to create, that's her inside of her head, wishing that she could clean up that mess that she didn't mean to create. I just think that was the best commercial yet, but waiting for your guys' thoughts.
Well, I could definitely say that I did not know about the commercial. I didn't realize how connected it was. So I really appreciate you bringing that up because I was in the dark about that commercial. But just to kind of further elaborate, I love how the show continuing to balance out the answers with the intrigue. Now that we're halfway through the show, the movie is starting to answer some of our burning questions. Like they kind of did that last week with last week's episode, which I still think is fantastic. But they still have plenty of questions that are burning in a lot of people's minds. And I certainly have a lot of questions myself, but it's finally reached that perfect point where it's a nice balance, and I'm incredibly excited to see where the show goes from here, especially after the reveal at the very end, which I can't wait to talk about and discuss. So, yeah, overall, it was a great episode. Although I will say I liked episode 4 ever so slightly more.
My video is frozen, so I apologize if I can't see.
I
can see you, Evan.
Can't actually hear her. Well, yeah, I can hear you and see your profile, but I actually can't see. Well, I can see Rachel, but I can't hear her.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah, there we go.
Hi. Yeah. Cool. Hi. Sorry, I said that this was my favorite episode, which is weird because you said it was your 4 was yours. But as soon as they said the Lacos thing, I was like, oh my gosh, really? Because as soon as they said, I was like, wow. Like they keep throwing like shade at Wanda, so that's how I'm. And when they say made a mess, that her basically they keep referring to whoever's doing this as her. That's not necessarily Wanda, and it's in this episode it's pulling you in two directions of like this is clearly what's like her and what's happening with her, and then this is clearly like not her or what's happening, like what's causing what happens. And what I did say is like if you haven't seen this episode yet, I do like if you're cool with spoiler talk, that's great, but I personally think that you need to watch this episode's ending before you watch any discussions about it, including this one. You can always come back to this video later, but I encourage like just log off now, just watch us talk about it later. You need to experience this ending firsthand before you watch anybody talk about it or whatever. But yeah, this is my favorite episode so far. I like how we kind of know what's going on. So we're going from both the show within a show and what's happening with what's happening outside of the reality that's kind of happening. I like Monica. I really like the Monica, Jimmy, and Darcy chemistry that's happening. I'm very intrigued of what they're going to do. I love all of the little Easter eggs and things that I do kind of get. And I'm curious to see what our further thoughts and stuff once we dive deeper into the story itself. So I don't even know how to do like a quick recap for this one. It goes all over the place. But I guess the very short answer is we're in the 80s era now. I tried doing like a little bit of the 80s get-up garb that she kind of wears. We start with them trying to take care of the twins. The twins age from 0 to 5, like that. Agnes doesn't really bat an eye about it, and Vision is definitely just starting to get suspicious. We're cutting back to Sword, trying to figure out what's happening. At one point, Wanda comes out and she's like, leave me alone, in a Sokovia accent, which is insane, because that is also like, obviously she's doing this, but then later in the episode she's like, I'm not doing all of this. Monica, Darcy, and Jimmy are just trying to figure out how to, like, oh, he's gone, that's not good. But yeah, he'll be back hopefully. But basically just 80s era. The kids get a dog. The dog has its own little existential crisis thing when it passes away. They're trying to, like, begging Wanda to, like, bring him back, but she's like, that's not how this works. She can't just bring people back, which is weird because Vision is there. The Lagos commercial, that's about as well as I can probably put it. And then the ending, which we will hopefully wait for Nick to get back to do the ending, because I have so many thoughts about it.
Yeah.
But
Same.
yeah, go ahead, Evan. What are some things that you noticed or want to talk about that are kind of a deeper dive into the episode?
Well, one thing that I do love about the show is that it continues to, like, keep you in the dark about certain details. Like, after episode 4, I really did think that it was Wanda who was doing pretty much everything. Now, it could just simply be the fact that she's untrustworthy and she's trying to get what she wants, but I have a strong feeling that there is another factor that plays into this whole illusion that she's created. Well, it's not really an illusion. It's this whole place that she's kept captive. And I feel like there's a lot more answers that we need about how Vision is alive again, because, again, keeping it in the dark, and I love the intrigue that they're still building, even though the answers are still starting to come out. Again, I must reiterate that the whole commercial I was completely in the dark about, so I'm really glad that someone touched base on that. And I also really love how threatening she was when she came out to warn everyone. I just thought that was such a really good scene.
For sure.
That just was so satisfying to watch. So again, I'll try to wait until Nick comes back on to discuss the ending, which I'm very excited to talk about.
For sure. While we're waiting for Nick, I do want to kind of go through some of the comments, because a lot of other people seem to have thoughts too. He's back. But yeah, Jeremy, I agree. I loved how Monica was like, she could have easily taken on Thanos, because that's what fans have been saying for literally years, since Infinity Wars. Really, Steven, I wish I had the just, I guess, willpower of you as to wait up till 3 a.m. I'm kind of old now, I guess, so I'm just tired at 11.
If I may completely interject really quickly, I will say that I told my wife while we were watching, it seems like the writers are taking direct quotes from, like, comments online, and I kind of love the meta-ness of it. So it just kept getting a laugh out of me, especially when they were discussing Captain Marvel and as well as Scarlet Witch, or Wanda in this case, and how their powers were different and how they could take on Thanos, which was like something that everyone was saying during Endgame.
Yeah, for sure. She definitely could have done. She was the closest one to just, like, take him out by herself too. Hi, Nick. Welcome back.
Sorry.
You're fine. We decided not to talk about the ending before you got back. But yeah, Stephen. Yeah, I believe Stephen is right when it says that episode 5 opens up the door to the next phase. And I see now that you work till midnight. Yeah, good for you. And, like, I would definitely stay up and watch it then too if I was me. Fergie confirmed that Wanda is the strongest Avenger. Feige, I said Fergie. That's not Fergie. I'm sorry. But yeah, and Magnus ignoring the stuff around her is weird. I will say, like, first of all, Agnes had, like, a brooch scrunchie when she came in with her workout outfit on, so I thought that was, like, really cute. And I was like, how are they, like, incorporating the brooch with scrunchie? One of the most 80s things. And I realized something, like, with the first thing. Whenever Wanda tries to use her powers on, like, people within the reality, at least, it just doesn't work. Or, like, living things. It didn't work on the Stork in episode 3, and it didn't work on the twins in episode 5. So that might mean something, but it did work on the sword soldiers when she exited the hex, as Darcy calls it, which I think is cute because I think that's from the comics. If Nick can elaborate on that, or if he knows. I think
I don't know if something like that is what they call it in the comics. I know it refers to kind of hinting at Mephisto being the big bad and like the big evil,
Mhm.
uh, villain of this. But I still like the thought of the Grim Reaper being the villain. I know like in episode 2, whenever they were like doing the Bewitched type of stuff, whenever they were walking through like their house in the cartoon and intro, you could see in the rafters of the house Grim Reaper's helmet. And I don't know if that's just something they threw in there to throw us off, or something like that. Um, but I still think the director of Sword, that guy, he's not a fan of the Avengers,
No,
obviously. Um, he wanted them to say Wanda a Scarlet Witch. Like I don't know, he wanted to like make her feel like an enemy or an evil like person in there, and he's definitely not a fan of her, especially her. Him arming that drone. Like
for
he
sure.
just he wants her to be eliminated. Um, and I thought that whenever they showed her breaking into Sword to steal Vision's body, I thought that was really interesting because we have to remember that Wanda just came back from the blip, just like Monica, you know? Um, so she never got a chance to grieve for Vision. The last time that she was with him, she was holding him on the ground of Wakanda.
Mhm.
And she just dusted away. So she never got a proper chance to grieve. So her breaking into that facility that may have been in New Jersey, I don't know. Like, why did she pick this place to it's just a lot of things don't make sense to me, because she's not malicious in nature. Like she doesn't want to do things like I don't know if she'd want to create this reality where Vision doesn't want to be like the Vision obviously does not want this, and I don't know if this is kind of what she wants but being manipulated to like a 10th degree. um I'm not sure, but I thought that was very interesting because whenever at the beginning, whenever Monica's getting scanned, um, she says that she felt like she was being held down by grief. And that makes sense because it is Wanda's grief that is probably the main power factor behind this. And I also thought it was interesting that her X-rays and things came back negative or clear. They couldn't
Mhm.
see anything because isn't her name in the comics Proton? Like, isn't that like her name? And then she talks about protons and neutrons and stuff later. I just thought that was interesting that maybe her bodily like functions or something got manipulated when she got thrown through the hex, and maybe she does have powers now or something, and that's their way of making that happen. But I thought that was interesting.
For sure. I know she does get powers, and being surrounded by a bunch of radiation for a bit would definitely give that to her in the Marvel world, I guess, kind of, if that makes sense.
So do you think that technically qualifies as like introducing mutants, perhaps?
I think a lot of things in this episode qualify as introducing mutants, but we'll get there. Um, but yeah, potentially. That I was that's in my notes too. Like the scan came out, Blake was I just wrote director is the worst for some reason. The fact that they bring up that she doesn't have an alias, that they're trying to like kind of title her that. And just it was weird. It felt weirdly convenient that he brought up the fact that she stole Vision's body. Like, why wouldn't that be mentioned before once they found out, hey, Wanda is part of this. I know he said he had to go back to Sword headquarters, but I don't know if it's to fabricate that or to, bring that up, but who knows. So, but yeah, I was also like, why is her scambling? I definitely think it has something to do with her getting her powers because I know that is a thing in the comics. And also, I thought it was weird how she didn't want to bring up Captain Marvel. I think that like it might have to do with the fact that she was gone for such a long time while all this stuff was happening on Earth. Maybe she resented her for that. I don't know. Evan, you haven't spoken in a hot minute. What are some of what are some other things that you might have noticed? Or
Well, I mean, even with all the things that I have noticed, I don't think I'm qualified per se to like talk about them because again, like I feel like Nick is far more he actually knows the comics, and it sounds like you know the comics really well too. So I'm simply just seeing it from face value, and all I know is that I'm incredibly intrigued to see where it goes from here. I did find it very weird that her test results came back as negative, so I'm very curious to see where that goes. Again, yeah, it might just be Proton, so which I've never even heard of that character before now.
Yeah, totally.
So.
So I guess I can go through like the rest of my notes. We talked a lot about what we've already done. The animal that I kind of noticed this week that had sort of a theme, I guess, is fish. I know that Geraldine's fish pants were in episode 3 already, but I also noticed more of those molds at the top of the kitchen. Those had a fish one. I think that she could technically be Agnes. Steven said that Agnes said that the devil's in the details and Mephisto is the devil, so that could definitely be something. The Vision is also like showing bits of him before Westview because he's like, it's called an email, Norm. Like he's saying things for things that haven't happened yet to his knowledge since he can't remember anything from Westview for going from decade to decade. So, and everybody else kind of, the cracks are starting to show. The mailman's like, oh, your mom won't let them get very far. And even the kids are like, can't you bring them back? And it's Saturday. Like, why would he be going to work? And I think like earlier today, it was Saturday. Like, what's up with that? The accent's back. I already said all of that. It got extra staticky when she started talking about death and trauma, and I don't know what was up with that because I thought like something was up my TV, but like everybody else's audio is like crystal clear, like in that scene, and then but like around that bit it was like really staticky and 80s-y, and I don't know if that means anything or if that was just like a stylistic choice. And the ultimate way to end the conversation is apparently to just be like, no, we're done here, and then just start the credit roll. So I thought that was really funny and interesting. And I do think that's also interesting that he can't remember anything before Westview. Like she kind of erased everything that made him him, honestly, and an Avenger, and what made them, you know, a couple in the first place, just because she doesn't want to deal with him asking all those questions and thinking about that trauma. Yeah, I think I'll throw it back to Nick because he hasn't spoken in a hot minute.
Yeah, all those are really good points and really, really good details. I missed the brooch on Agnes whenever she was in the 80s outfit.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking for it, and I could not find it. I saw it whenever she was holding Sparky, you know, because it's on that vest that she was wearing. And I honestly think that ties into whoever she's working for. Like, I know in the comics, Mephisto, his like right-hand man or right-hand woman is a woman called Agatha Harkness.
Mm-hmm.
So if you shorten that name into Agnes, I mean, you can probably make that work.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, if Vision really is dead, then all he does know is what's inside Westview and what he's allowed to know. But he's still Vision. Like I feel like he's still an android, so he can still kind of see what's going on. I don't know. There's a lot of things that may be loopholes that don't make sense. I don't know. And that maybe that's just a testament to the writing of this show. It has us going in 3 or 4 different directions trying to figure it out, and I think that's really exciting.
For sure. Yeah, and I know we sort of talked like the whole breaking thing with the whole should we take it from the top and stuff. And just the fact that she's very weird in this episode. She's not fazed by anything, and she's like, can you do that? Like she's talking to real Wanda, not like sitcom Wanda, not Wanda. I'm very good at talking today. But yeah, Evan, do you have any thoughts before I think it's time to do the thing? If you have any last thoughts though before we do the dive into that though. Okay, cool.
No, not at all.
Earlier this week, Elizabeth Olsen was quoted saying that she can't wait for fans to see a groundbreaking cameo that is going to be just as good as Luke Skywalker in like The Mandalorian, and I was extremely curious as to what she meant by that, and I think that this just might be it, unless there's something even bigger. But I absolutely freaked out when I saw that this ending. So at the end of this episode, there's a ringing of the doorbell. Vision and Wanda have been having an argument about how she can't do this, and Vision's confused and upset and scared and angry, and she's just like, I want to protect everything that we have and all of that good stuff. And then ringing the doorbell, and she's like, I didn't do any of that. Like, I wasn't expecting this. So she goes to the door, and guess who it is? It's her long-lost brother, Pietro. But this isn't Pietro from the MCU. This is Peter Maximoff from the X-Men universe. This is Evan Peters as Quicksilver. For those of you who don't know, a big thing that was happening when Age of Ultron came out is that I think Days of Future Past was also coming out, and they were both introducing Quicksilver at the same time. One of them was the Quicksilver that we knew from the MCU. I forget who he was played by, but the other one was a very different 80s Pietro, but his name was Peter in the X-Men universe, because he was like, it's very up in the air if they're really mutants or not, because they were supposed to be mutants, and it turns out there weren't mutants in the comics, things like that. But so all of this, it's very surprising that this Pietro is in this universe in the MCU now, which kind of confirms your theory, Nick, of them trying to bring mutants into the MCU. So I definitely want to know what you think about that.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty shocking for sure. I don't think this is the big cameo. Because in Paul Bettany's interview, he said that he got to work with this person, which was like a pleasure of a lifetime, because he never got to work with him before. And to me, that has to be Doctor Strange, because I don't think Vision and Strange had an encounter in the movies yet. So I definitely think that somebody on that kind of level has to come through at the end to kind of save the day and get Wanda out of there. And he might be the only one powerful that I can think of to do something like that. And the main thing that I caught on was because whenever Darcy mentioned that, wow, she recast her brother.
Mm-hmm.
That's literally what Marvel did, is they just recast her brother. So it makes perfect sense, and it's a perfect opportunity for them to just be like, yeah, we're going to bring them in now. And then maybe we'll introduce Magneto as her dad. You know, who knows from this point? Like, it can go in so many different directions. And Evan Peters is a great actor.
I love Evan Peters so much.
So I think he's going to be awesome. And I don't know if he's even real. Like, is that a projection that whoever's in control of this is putting on to like make her feel a certain type of way? I know somebody mentioned it in the comments. I'm trying to find it. But the comments are going a little fast, which is awesome. Thank you guys so much for commenting and being a part of it. It makes it a lot of fun. But somebody had mentioned whenever Vision went and kind of snapped Norm out of whatever he's feeling, and he was like panicked, and he was telling Vision that she's in control of it. He never said Wanda's in control of it. He just said she.
Exactly.
So I still don't think Wanda is in complete control of this. And knowing Marvel, they could take Mephisto and turn him into a female villain. Like, there's no saying that it has to be a male. Like, Agnes could be Mephisto. We just don't know, and that would be one hell of a twist that I would really love. But I think them being vague on purpose is really important. But yeah, back to Evan Peters. Being Quicksilver. I mean, as soon as they pulled the camera away and you saw the silver hair, I mean, you knew that was him, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was.
But I thought that Steven brought it. His name is Aaron Taylor Johnson. I thought it was the old one. But when I saw that it was this one, I was like, oh my gosh, mutants. Sorry to interrupt.
No, yeah,
Go ahead, Nick.
That's crazy. It breaks open the whole, like, it cracks open the multiverse, honestly, because then you have the possibility of multiple Spider-Mans being in the next Spider-Man movie. You have possibility of just crazy things happening, and it's wonderful to think about, honestly. The only thing that I'm curious about is Wanda's twins, because they were very clear that there's some like aspects that I'm not sure how it works, like the physics of how this hex works, or like they said that those twins are real. So things can be created in there that are real. Like, I don't know, because that's how I thought the mutants were going to be introduced, as Wanda was going to have those kids, and whenever they come out, then they're going to be the first mutants. But I don't understand like what's real in there, what's not. I don't know the rules. So that's kind of confusing to me right now.
All right, Evan, go ahead.
Yeah, that actually brings up a point that I did want to ask. There's a scene early on once Monica comes back through the stuff that she was wearing. Apparently, it's bulletproof now, which I find
a
weird.
Bulletproof vest when she went into the hex, so that turned her clothes into bulletproof wardrobe. Yeah. Kind of like how when the beekeeper went in, he turned into a literal beekeeper, and like his string turned to jump rope.
Okay. So does that mean that that's the drone that they flew in, that they said that if I forget the precise line that they said, that if something can turn something else when it goes through, does that mean that they used like a really pitiful drone originally to go in?
I think what happened was they used a drone that didn't match the era that they were in. So it's important because they said that whatever they said something that, well, we'll have to send in something that couldn't be changed. So they had to put in like an 80s era drone to match the 80s era that they were in. What I thought that they were referring to the email that Vision read, because emails can't be altered, because that scene took place directly after they mentioned they have to put something in that couldn't change. So that kind of threw me off, because the sequence of that scene made me feel like that email that everybody was kind of reading in sequence was that message from Darcy, because if it wasn't, then who was that sent from? It's weird.
Yeah, for sure. That was weird. It was like kind of a leak. Like that's kind of the best way I can describe it. Yeah, they were taught. Yeah, I'm looking through the comments. It was like an 80s era drone, which I thought. I thought that basically I'm getting a lot of my information because Marvel Unlimited is like, hey, this is a popular thing right now. Let's advertise these comics. So they're like give you a little bit of insight. I know that since the twins are shards of Mephisto, technically, they went away, but then Marvel was just like, we'll bring them back. It's like these two, I forget what their comic names are at the moment, but I wonder what's gonna happen to them, because they're like, who are these kids? Like, then Monica's like, no, what's like this is like her actual children. That was weird. Like, this is all her. But yeah, I agree with Steven. It's definitely going towards House of M, especially with like introduction of potentially introducing mutants. I also agree with the fact that the whole Spider-Verse sort of live action theory is kind of possible now. If they're doing, it's like if you're saying what I think you're saying, sort of thing. And definitely Fantastic Four as well. I'm very excited. I was thinking about that. Like, I'm really excited for the new Fantastic Four movie, because, like, I guess fourth time's a charm to make something great with the first family. But yeah, I think we're kind of running out of time. So since we started off at a weird time, I'm kind of confused as if we are or not. But
I do want to briefly interject. Sorry. I know that you mentioned Spider-Man. I did see an article recently that had Tom Holland on record saying that this was like one of the most ambitious for Spider-Man 3. That it was one of the most ambitious superhero movies ever. So I'm wondering how much that's actually going to tie into WandaVision, or how much it is that if it's really going to crack open the multiverse. Like, I mean, this one, obviously, the WandaVision itself is cracking open the multiverse. We've already established that. But now I'm wondering, like, how much that actually pertains to all the other characters in the MCU. And if anything, that makes me even more excited for the future of Marvel.
For sure. Nick, do you have any like kind of final thoughts, I guess?
No, I just really like the idea of the potential crossovers in the future. Just like, Jeremy says, Spider-Man, Deadpool. Yeah, I think that this is going to tie in directly to Doctor Strange and the multitude or whatever it is of madness. The multiverse of madness is what it's called. Because honestly, this feels like a prequel to that. Because if they're cracking open the multiverse here, and I have a feeling Doctor Strange is going to come save the day, it can be a direct line to that movie. I'm super excited for Fantastic Four. Just the casting opportunities, I really hope they can get John Krasinski to play Mr. Fantastic.
He's so good.
Emily Blunt to be the Invisible Woman.
Yes.
And bring Michael B. Jordan back to be.
Yes.
I just think that'd be really funny. Because if it is a multiverse, it doesn't really matter. And also, if there's a multiverse, then Captain America was also the Human Torch, which is weird.
Yeah, that would be very weird.
I
would love to see Chris Evans to come back, though. Just in
I think it'd be funny, and then you could even bring back what's his name? The guy that was Rhodey before Don Cheadle. Howard. What's his name?
I know the reason that they recast him was because he was really expensive, and he asked for more money being Iron Man 2.
It'd be so funny if they just brought back everybody in like little cameos.
It'd be funny.
And then, but yeah, that's the kind of creativity that they have now, and that's why it's so exciting because the opportunities are endless, really. And it can go anywhere. Yeah. I'm just thinking. Oh, Terrence Howard, thank you so much. Yes, that would. That's perfect. But yeah, I think I'm sorry I'm rambling because there's like so many things going through my head that I'm just excited about the possibilities. It's crazy, but I really hope. I know there's a lot of rumors out there, but I really hope that Daredevil ends up being in Spider-Man as his legal advisor.
Oh my gosh!
Because
bring back the Netflix shows too. Oh my gosh!
Because it's a perfect opportunity because people are not a fan of Spider-Man right now. In that universe, they know who he is. He needs a legal advisor. There's like this, we like Spider-Man, we don't like Spider-Man, like conflict. And if they know who Spider-Man is is Daredevil coming in to represent him gonna open up the multiverse where he can kind of sit back and let Tobey Maguire go handle something real quick and then come back? And I don't know, it brings up a lot of interesting opportunities that we might hopefully get to see.
For sure. I'm definitely just as excited as you guys seem to be. First of all, next episode I believe is hopefully going to be the Halloween episode, but also I'm very interested and excited to see what they're going to do with the Pietro just bombshell. It really was a very special episode. And I'm just excited to see what happens next. So, especially with the show, but also just with the MCU in general, because who knows what this means. We'll just have to wait and see, which is always the hardest part. But yeah, thank you both so much for doing this. We will be back next week with episode 6. After that, it'll only be like 3 more episodes till the season's over, so that'll be weird. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this. I've had a lot of engagement with the comments, which is very much appreciated, and we do look at them, and I'm agreeing with like a bunch of stuff that's even in Jeremy have been saying. But yeah, so thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Later.
Bye.
Bye.